So you probably know by now that a new entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise, AC Shadows, has just been revealed with a cinematic trailer. This time, the Assassin's Creed franchise is going to feudal Japan. A historical setting we've all been practically begging Ubisoft to visit for over a decade now. So with the reveal of such a requested Assassin's Creed game and knowing it's coming out this year, a controversy that's now gone mainstream seems quite amiss. So what's this whole hubbub about? Well, it's centered around one of our two new playable characters, Yasuke. You see, Yasuke is a black samurai, not an Asian samurai. Now, our second playable protagonist, Naue, is a Japanese shinobi assassin. Bear that in mind for later. Many thousands of Assassin's Creed fans are uncontrollably upset with Yasuke. They believe that Asian people deserve representation, and this is just Ubisoft forcing the woke agenda into their games. Here's an example I found online. Actually, that's not the main issue. He could have been a side quest giver, cool NPC, a guy at the court. The problem is that the main character should have been an actual samurai who grew up all his life as a samurai. This way it would have been no problem. Okay, interesting. This Twitter user explains a route Ubisoft could have gone down to keep everyone happy. Oh wait, there's more. So other AC characters didn't exist. Those were fiction. But now they need a fucking N-word who was a pet and irrelevant to force the N-wordfication into another culture. Okay, bro. Laughing emoji ×3. Oh. So it's just racism. That makes so much more sense. So let me get something straight. People are angry that there's not Asian representation in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Buddy? Hello, buddy? What's this? And wait, buddy? What's this? And this? And this? And this? And oh my god, there's a black man! Ah! No, you're not fighting back against the woke agenda. You're racist. A straight-up racist using Asian representation as a cover-up to keep being openly bigoted. Yeah, this might feel awkward right now, and it should, because I'm talking to you. Yeah, you know who you are. It's disgusting. Okay, let's take a breather whilst I explain exactly why Yasuke is the perfect candidate for an Assassin's Creed character, as well as why racists using the excuse that Yasuke being a samurai isn't historically accurate is a dumb argument with absolutely no merit whatsoever. Other YouTube channels have talked about what I will be covering here today, so some points may sound like a repeat of what you've already heard, but I don't think that notion devalues anything here. It's so important that as many people as possible stand up against racism in any capacity. Yasuke was only ever a retainer, a servant and sword carrier to a samurai, so Yasuke shouldn't be a samurai in the game. I want to tackle this question first. At the start of any Assassin's Creed game, the player is met with a message like this. Inspired by historical events and characters, this work of fiction was designed, developed and produced by a multicultural team of various religions, faiths and beliefs. Okay, so Assassin's Creed has always stated that it's inspired by historical events and characters. I mean, I thought that was pretty obvious given the story premise, but regardless, it's there in black and white. So this statement alone should be reason enough to completely destroy the argument that Yasuke's historical inaccuracy is a problem in AC Shadows. But in case you're not on board yet, take a listen to this.
Some of the stuff I'm seeing in the Animus, sometimes it seems wrong. Untrue, like the history is off somehow. It doesn't
what, Mr. Miles? Match up with what you read on an online encyclopedia? What your high school history teacher taught you? Let me ask you something. Do these supposed experts have access to secret knowledge kept hidden from the rest of us?
There are books, letters, documents, all sorts of source material from back then. Some of it seems to contradict what the Animus is showing me.
Anyone can write a book, and they can put whatever they want on its pages. Anything. Used to be, we thought the world was flat.
Some people still do.
Yes, and they publish books about it.
Where's this going, Doc?
The point, I suppose, is that you shouldn't trust everything you hear, everything you read. What's that your ancestors said? Nothing is true?
Everything is permitted.
Yes, exactly. It's part of what makes the Animus so spectacular. There's no room for misinterpretation.
There's always room.
Touché, Mr. Miles. Now that I've answered your question, can we begin?
Is the animus in Assassin's Creed pushing diversity, or is it showing Yasuke as he really was, at least in the AC universe? In the fictional world of Assassin's Creed, the Templars seek to control the world population to achieve their own twisted version of world peace. The Templars have been known to destroy knowledge. Proof? Well, in AC1 you assassinate Jubayr al-Hakim, who was in charge of the burning of books.
Every single text in this city must be destroyed.
My friend, you must not do this. Much knowledge rests within these parchments, put there by our ancestors for good reason.
And what reason is this?
They are beacons, meant to guide us, to save us from the darkness that is ignorance.
No, these bits of paper are covered in lies. They poison your minds, and so long as they exist, you cannot hope to see the world the way it truly is.
How can you accuse these scrolls of being weapons? They are tools of learning.
You turn to them for answers and salvation.
You are wrong. These texts give the gift of knowledge. We need them. Yes, of course.
Then join them!
So yes, it's completely feasible that again, in the fictional universe of Assassin's Creed, the Templars, for one reason or another, suppressed the historical evidence that Yasuke was a samurai, and calling back to the scene we watched with Desmond and Vidic, the animus shows us the real history. Next, we need to talk about what the Assassin Brotherhood stands for. The morals and worldview that they are built upon after Altair reforms the Creed into a more free-thinking clan. I want to read you an excerpt from page 14 of Altair's Codex. You can find and read these in Assassin's Creed 2. These are the ruminations of Altair in the years after the events of the first game. You really get an insight into the philosophy that Altair would instill into the Creed, and those ideals would very much be present during the time of Yasuke. Man seeks domination over all that he encounters. I suppose it is a natural tendency for us to aspire towards mastery of our surroundings. But this should not include other human beings. Every day more and more are pressed into service, by deception or by force. Others, though not so firmly imprisoned, are made to feel as if their lives are worthless. I have seen the ways in which men persecute women, heard the cruel words hurled at those who came here from other lands, watched as those who believe or act differently are made to suffer. We discuss such things often, watching as we do from the spires of Masyaf. What can be done to stop this? To encourage tolerance and equality? Some days we speak of education, believing that knowledge will free us from immorality. But as I walk the streets and see slaves sent off to auction, my heart grows cold. When I see the husband hurl abuses and stones at his wife, insisting she exists only to serve him, my fists clench. And when I see children torn from their parents so that another man might profit, sent off to suffer beneath the desert sun and die. On these days, I do not think that dialogue will make a difference. On these days, I can only think of how the perpetrators need to die. Now Yasuke, a minority in a strange new land, is the perfect setup for a story that's interwoven into the very fabric and DNA that is Assassin's Creed. I'm much more inclined to believe that Ubisoft picked Yasuke for this reason, to tell a good story. He's surely going to face abuse, mistreatment and control due to the reasons he cannot control. Control versus freedom. Come on, that is the mantra of Assassin's Creed. I do have to thank Lasers for bringing this specific page of the Codex to light in his own video. I don't know if I would have thought of Codex page 14 if it wasn't for him, so I'll leave a link to his video in the description. Lastly, Yasuke is the basis for a great playable character in really any video game. Here's why. As the player, you're experiencing a game's world, characters, mechanics, well, everything for the first time. A great way to ease the player into a brand new journey is to start them and the protagonist off in the same shoes. Having your main character be an outsider in any capacity adds context to why you're learning the basics of the game, like combat, exploration, and so on, and it also adds a level of relatability to the character you're playing as. You're both starting off at the same pace. It adds a level of immersion to the game. Your energy and the protagonist's match, and when emotional moments in the game arrive, they hit hard. That's good game design. That's good writing. In The Witcher 3, Geralt is looked down upon, shunned from society. This is a great example of the perfect way to build a connection to Geralt through his journey. As you get to know the ins and outs of his character, you can't help but feel bad for the man when people treat him poorly due to the way he looks and acts. We feel Geralt's highs and his lows. It's artistic writing married up with game design to create a brilliant story. Here's one more example. In Horizon Zero Dawn, Aloy, our protagonist, is also shunned from society. From the get-go, we feel for Aloy. The game allows us to get attached to her. Pair that with the Focus, an archaic technological device that she possesses but the majority don't understand, and you're left with the same result, an innate link between player and character. Let's bring this back around to Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows. You can criticize Assassin's Creed Shadows all you like, but hating on Yasuke because woke isn't constructive. I'm sure I'll talk about how Ubisoft Quebec inevitably put together a lackluster game that has microtransactions hardwired into AC Shadow's very essence and being. And that's fair game. But what isn't fair game is racism. Yasuke being a real black character in a predominantly Asian country is the perfect setup to make an amazing, emotional, gripping game. Yasuke being a real black character is the basis for the perfect Assassin's Creed game due to the intrinsic philosophy that the Creed is built on. Yasuke being a real black character could be a great balance to Naue, our second playable protagonist who is in fact Japanese. Yasuke being a real black character is the epitome of everything racists hate. Yasuke scares them. Racists, go fuck yourselves.